It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon. It's interesting and listening to Taylor's background and certainly Michael's background. I've had the good fortune of living up in Huntsville for about 22 years or so as a forestry consultant up there. And then my wife and I, she ended up with a job with MOE, more or less in Toronto. I ended up working with Forests Ontario and in Toronto, and so we moved from Huntsville, where we've been for 20 years or so, down to Aurora, and now I work at Front University in Toronto. I gotta tell you, it's a bit of a shell shock. But it really is an organization that is, it's a not-for-profit, charitable organization. We really focus on ensuring that we have healthy forests for our future. And we do that through tree planting activities, education, forestry education programs, and awareness. We're trying to keep people and get people understanding of how important our forests are to ourselves, to our society, and certainly to our economy. And so what I'd like to talk about today is just some thoughts I have around, where I see our forests going, and certainly some of the threats are for us, and of course, most importantly, how important our forests are to us. Oh, there we go. And I just want to start it out. It probably goes without saying. I mean, the folks that you are here, you probably have a natural affinity to forests and outdoors. Does everybody enjoy walking trails? You enjoy canoeing, hiking, birding, wildlife, all those things, right? So what's really amazing is we really do have a natural affinity to our forests. We actually have an incredible history to our forests that was started with the settlement of Canada. And certainly, as I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, where the ships would come over and take down and harvest the vast amount of white pine that we had and oak, and take that material back to England for shipbuilding. Well, during that process, that was really the start of the settlement of Canada. And certainly came up the St. Lawrence River, up the Ottawa River, and you can imagine, all the forestry activities occurring within the Ottawa Valley. And certainly, and I know a lot of the forestry operations over in that way, there's folks there, Herb Shaw and Sons, Murray Brothers, McCrae's. Herb Shaw and Sons actually is the 6th generation that have been in the forestry business. 6 generations. So it is a livelihood, it's our background, it's their livelihoods that they've been there for so long. It's not just a job, it's who they are with forestry. So that connection there, I think we all share that. We all have that love and passion for our forests. And just to, we talked about the forests and certainly the Georgian Bay areas, I'm sure you're all familiar with that, but just a quick view of our forests of Ontario. And it's vast amounts of forests that we have. I think it was interesting to know when we were talking earlier, and Michael was talking about the different silvicultural systems, the way that forests are treated, really is dependent on the kind of forest that you're dealing with. And when you look at our forest, you've got the boreal forest to the north, the Great Lakes St. Lawrence, called mid Ontario, and then the deciduous forest of the south. And I just, so here's a little test just to see if you were paying attention to Michael when he was giving his presentation. What kind of species do you think you'd find up in the boreal forest?
Jack pine.
Good. Jack pine, what else?
Blackberries.
Good. Foresters can't answer. What else? Poplar, good. Spruces, yeah. So all those species. So all species that are essentially, their disturbance pattern is fire. Large, vast amounts of fire that would clear out these types of forests. What about the Great Lakes St. Lawrence? What kind of species would be there? White pine, good. Maple beech, good. I wish I had some suckers to give you folks who were answers. I gave a presentation yesterday to clean me up. What else? Big, sure.
We used to have ash. Ash, we used to have.
There used to be ash, yeah. So exactly. So those tolerant to mid-tolerant species. Any idea what when we're talking about those types of species, we're talking about up here, fire origin. What's the disturbance pattern more or less in the Great Lakes St. Lawrence? Sorry? The disturbance pattern that happens on the forest. Drought, yeah. What insects? Insects, yeah, those are good. How about wind? Absolutely, wind, downspouts of wind that come in and knock down a few of the trees at a time. So when you think of those natural disturbance patterns, and this is again just for Forestry 101, but how we manage our forests in Ontario is very important. Because when you talk about the boreal, and we talk about the emulating natural disturbance patterns in the boreal forest, generally the silvicultural system, how we manage those trees and grow them is through a clear-cut silvicultural system. In the Great Lakes St. Lawrence, because of the downspurts, relatively small disturbances, we use a selection, as Michael went through earlier this morning, and or shelter wood in intermix. So it's just something to keep in mind. We're talking about our forests and how we manage them and how well we manage them. We are emulating natural disturbance patterns with those types of systems. And I always like to look at it with forests that, you know, especially now that I work in the city, it isn't necessarily the great vast amounts of forest, but when you start working in the city, you start talking about urban forest, it really is, it gets down to like single trees as part of that forest. And I always try to put out to people, you know, when I'm talking to urban foresters, and they're really into the urban forestry things that they do, I say, you tell me where that urban forest stops and where the rural forest starts. And if you think yourselves of the rural forest coming down, large tracts of land coming down towards the city, you think of a lot of the river systems that are coming through the city that break down into ravines and such, you know, still lots of forest there. And then down where you get even closer to those single trees that you're looking at. So that continuous amount of forest there, from large contiguous forest down to those single trees, I really like to think of that as one forest. Because it's our forest, it's one forest, and it's all important. So I don't think we need to have the discussion of what's, the division up between the two. It's all forest, it's all important to us. And certainly when you think of the large tracts of land up in northern Ontario, this is actually Algonquin Park. When you go canoe tripping, when you have that large wilderness experience, down to areas where single trees are extremely important. And I just wanted to show this picture actually because it was an event I was at. It was in Owen Sound, it was a folk festival. And these folk festivals, it was a jam session where the groups get together and they play around for a couple hours and such. They weren't particularly good. So I was looking around at what was kind of going on. And it was kind of cool because these people, it was a really stinking hot day, 36 degrees or so, and they were all under the shade of this tree. And you can see the shade right there. Yeah. And it was over 2 hours. And what was so funny was, again, it was pretty boring, so I was watching people move with the shadows. And they did. The shadow would move, and the people would move, and they'd still keep under the shade of that tree. So to those people, that tree was really important, that one single tree. So just because it, cooled them off and it stopped them from getting sunburned and such. And then, there's critters that really appreciate trees. There's a lineup and they're all so that's all good. So, and we all know, of course, how important trees are to our health. They produce oxygen, they sequester carbon dioxide, they actually clean particulates out of the air. So they really are, from a health perspective, extremely important. And we know from just the recreational opportunities, whether it's a single tree or you go for a walk in the woods, that those forests, those trees, those trails, that opportunity to get out in the forest are very important to our health. It reduces pressure, in your life, just makes you relax. They really are. And there's facts, there's scientific facts proven of this, that those forests are beneficial to us from that health perspective. And of course, in Ontario, what's so interesting is we manage for all sorts of different values on the same forested landscape. I know when Michael was talking, we're talking about silviculture and growing the trees, but in any of our forest management planning processes, which Westwood is about to undertake, there's all the values that are considered during that planning process. And you work with the planning team, and the public's invited to comment on the plan and talk about their values and where their trails are. And there's all sorts of called areas of concern, prescriptions written for all these different values, for stickness, for mass trees, for biological values, for the lake values, for the recreational values, for tourism values. All those things are considered in a forest management plan. Very unique to Ontario to be considering all that, as opposed to, I think a lot of people think that forestry is producing timber, fiber, whatever, but it's not. It's considering all those things on the same landscape. So we're truly blessed that, in my mind, that we have that kind of forest management practice here in Ontario. And so, here's the various things that our forests provide. And it is a full suite of activities, and again, we're very blessed that we can get all of these things, and all of these things are considered during our forest management practices. The future of our forests. And here is, some that we talked about this, Taylor talked about this already, some of the biggest stresses or threats against our forests. Habitat loss, invasive species, climate change is huge. And I'm going to talk about public awareness as well. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes, but it is a threat to our forests. We're talking about the future of forests here, so I think it's an important one to touch on. And so certainly there's a lot of facts that point to the notion that we need a lot of contiguous forests on our landscape. Certainly when you get up in the Muskokas and north, there are obviously large tracts of land. You get down to southern Ontario, and it's extremely fragmented. And it's been scientifically shown that you need at least 30% forest cover in order for that forest to maintain itself as a healthy, diverse ecosystem. If you get anything less than that, it's going to fall apart. So we have, as I pointed out, some regions of southern Ontario that are extremely fragmented. The forests have been taken away, and it's really under threat. And so we get into situations where we feel a huge amount of habitat loss and a lot of development. And any of you folks know, as you're heading up to Georgian Bay, you go up 400 and you look at the areas adjacent to the highway where there used to be beautiful hardwood forests, and the trees have been stripped out, the soils have been stripped out, and they planted these houses up in here. And it really is incredible. And so you can look from a land use planning perspective, we're losing significant prime agricultural land, we're losing incredibly diverse forests, and we're ending up with houses. Now we know our population is growing, we have to go somewhere, but it just always seems to me that there's something really wrong when you look at this kind of situation. And what's really fascinating, again, kind of our connection to our forests. We have a love, we have an affinity. We as Canadians are incredibly passionate about our forests. So what you get is people that go and they strip out all these forests and they plant these houses, and then they call it King Oaks. Or Maple Heights or whatever. And what was really funny, I was actually coming down Keele Street and I noticed this. And I looked at it and there it is. So that's what, and there's a sign, yeah. So, it really is incredible what you see in this kind of development. We talked about actually, Taylor, you had the same picture, it's kind of split out, but this picture of before and after with the emerald ash borer. So obviously I'm not going to get into all the details of how big of a threat it is, but it's huge and it's getting worse. Here's a series of some of the invasive species that we're having to consider. Taylor already spoke to a lot of these. I just wanted to show this up as the extent of some of the invasive species that are out there. This is actually a picture of a science center. And I was asked years ago to go and do a forest management plan for the science center. And this is an area in the back of it. And I just like, oh my God, look at this stuff, this grape ivy that's just completely encapsulated the forest that's underneath. And so I thought, well, that's pretty significant, pretty severe. I went in under it to see, okay, what's it killing out here? And the only good news was it was buckthorn. So, okay, well, it's all right. The winter is. But yeah, it's extremely invasive. Climate change, of course. We all are familiar with climate change, extreme weather events that we're getting, the downspouts that we're getting for wind, devastating areas, the drought that's causing severe mortality, and certainly the flooding that we're getting, the wind damage that we're getting, and the floods that we saw down in Toronto. It's extreme weather events. Somebody was mentioning earlier about increasing temperatures. Yeah, maybe, but I think everybody's starting to recognize it. It's those extreme weather events that are really starting to impact our lives. And certainly when you start talking about tree species, the future of tree species, all sorts of modeling going on how that's changing, how the growing conditions, how the temperatures are changing. That's going to restrict where trees are growing now and change the future of where they could potentially grow. This is a picture of the current range of white pine that you can see across the eastern seaboard, and give it a 2060 where it's not going to be, and it's going to be potentially here. Now, it's interesting when you talk to folks and they say, well, okay, well, that's really good, it'll just move north. No problem. The problem is that the soils aren't going to move north. So it's all, trees and species and all that sort of thing are yes, there's a climate element to it, but there's also the soils and the moisture and all those things that go with it as well. So it isn't necessarily just going to shift north. So there is concern there for sure. The best science right now, and I get this, I'm sure a lot of the foresters are the same question, is okay, given climate change, given increasing temperatures and those changing conditions, what tree should I be planting? And, you know, the best science right now is, you know, not to start going out and planting banana plants out in your backyard, but planting a diverse amount of forests. And, you know, large, contiguous, healthy forests are the best bet to be able to adapt to climate change as we see it progressing. To the point where, and there was an interesting discussion this morning about, you know, removing too many of the ash or too many of the beech because you're likely to take out trees that potentially will be resistant to the conditions that are coming along. So fine, so try to keep that diversity there, not saying that they'll all survive, but at least you'll have some there that will likely survive, the others will die out. But again, contiguous, so that the trees could technically move, large, you know, so that you've got the diversity over 30%, and healthy, so that, you know, they are going to be resistant to those changes as we move forward. And we're very fortunate with Forests Ontario to be working with the Ministry of Natural Resources and the provincial government to deliver the 50 million tree program. So we're trying to address that business of habitat loss. The program is targeted to plant 50 million trees by the year 2025. And these are the areas, these are the number of trees that we've planted to date. Pretty close to 20 million. So we're right on track with the whole program, which is fantastic. You know, it's great to have this program. Again, it's going to be 50 million trees. It's been identified that we actually need to plant about 1 billion trees here in southern Ontario to get that average up to about 30% for forest cover. So there's a whole lot of trees that need to be planted in order to do that. But this is an absolutely great start, and we're very, very happy that the government continues to support this program. The climate change aspect of this, one of the things that I really wanted to point out, and I'm going to get back to this business of awareness here in a minute, but the climate change aspect, you know, again, the best science out there is we have to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Climate change, the greenhouse effect, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. And one of the best tools we have to sequester carbon are trees. 50% of that tree is made up of carbon. So it sucks up a pile of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and puts it into the wood of the tree. The one thing that, the next step to that is to take the tree and put it into wood products. And so because the wood product, you know, we've got all sorts of wood products around here, it continues to store the carbon. And you know, one of the constant comments that I hear out there, sort of from the far left NGO groups, is that we need to protect our forests, because by protecting our forests, we're going to lock up and sequester more carbon. That simply is not true. A mature forest is carbon neutral. Trees will die, they'll fall down, they'll decompose, that carbon's released. As new trees grow, it sequesters carbon, but it's zero. The net gain is zero because of the trees decomposing. If you maintain that healthy forest and take the product sustainably off the forest, you know, you plant little seedlings, they grow, they sequester carbon, and at the end of the cycle, you take some of the wood products from there and turn it into whatever kind of furniture or wood products you can imagine. That holds that carbon as in storage for that much longer, whatever, another 100 years or so. So it's really, and it's been identified time and time again that that is the best way to sequester our carbon. And I just wanted to give you just a quick, when you think about that, okay, here's a map of Ontario. This is the Crown lands, essentially private property. All of that forest is managed under the Crown Forest Sustainability Act. So Westwood, for instance, it's Crown, 50% Crown, 50% private, is managed under the Crown Forest Sustainability Act. And by the name of the act, it's sustainably managed. So thinking back, all the different values that are considered, all the different, you know, the way that the diversity of the forest is maintained, and Michael talked about bringing it back to that white pine component, all those things are considered in that forest management planning process. So it really is you know, when you look at all that forest, it's a huge potential carbon sink, sustainably managed. And so this isn't something I'm just making up. This has been recognized. And there's the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change has identified that sustainably managed forest is one of the best tools to sequester carbon in mitigating climate change. Sustainably managed forests. But it's actually just came back from Lima, and I was fortunate enough to be there for the fourth annual World Congress of Biospheres. And at that, I was there for the last day, and they had a panel of folks that were leading workshops for the previous 3 or 4 days. And one of the fellows, he made that comment: sustainably managed forests are key to our future. Not protected forests, sustainably managed forests. And so the challenge then is to try to get people to understand that. Try to get people to understand that, you know, we call it the 3 legs of the stool, that you can't stop thinking about the environment if the economy goes for a tank. You know, which tends to happen. Everybody goes, oh yeah, we'll worry about the environment later. Well, we got to focus on jobs now. You've got to start thinking that, you know, if you maintain a healthy environment, that will ensure we have a healthy economy for the future and a healthy society for the future. But it's all 3 that have to be considered. As soon as you take one leg away, you're going to fall apart. And unfortunately, or fortunately, and here we are today, you know, we're here, the center of the universe, capital of Canada, whatever you want to call it. This is the decision-making power of, certainly of Ontario, is right here in Toronto. And you know, it was really interesting when I came down from Huntsville. Tembec was there, they had a flooring plant, you know, the forest industry was part of the local economy, more or less understood how important it was, not totally. But then I came down to Toronto, and people, you know, working at Front University, crazy place for the forest organization to be, but whatever, and talking to people going to various workshops and such, and they're just saying, no, we should not be cutting trees at all. You would use wood products every day, trust me. You have probably wood in your house. People love wood, but they're not connecting the dots, you know, where it comes from. And so one of the challenges is to try to get that population, and call it urban populations, to understand how important our rural areas are, how important that forestry sector is. And it's even getting worse because we got more people moving into urban centers and even more people getting sort of, call it, disconnected with the rural areas. And it really shows up when you start looking at the government budget. And you know, we're just talking over lunch about how we the public tend to think, oh, the government's on this big gravy train. Look at Rob Ford. It was such an easy sentence, right? Well, we got to reduce government. It's all in government. You know, everybody's getting overpaid. It's a gravy train. Blah blah blah. So you got to make sure you reduce the government. Well, guess what? Right now, it's 1% of that budget. 14 was about the environment. So that's Ministry of Natural Resources, Ministry of the Environment. See that. Not a whole lot compared to health, education, animal support. And it just seems to be the target. Like whenever there's budget cuts, go after the environment. Because you don't want to touch health, and you certainly don't want to touch education, although recently that made it a little bit different. But the environment just seems, again, you know, it's the target. Let's go after it. Donation distribution. It's not just the provincial government. Here's the distribution of donations and what they go to. And you know, so there's religion, health, and the environment, 2%. And that's 2%, you know, so us as a not-for-profit, we're competing with the World Wildlife Fund, the Nature Conservancy, you know, all of those big not-for-profit organizations that are going after funding to support their causes, all good causes, but it's just a really small piece of the pie. And so, you know, how do we get the public to change their opinion on how important that environment is? We do community tree plants, and I swear if we could do a community tree plant by a church and make it a religious event, but so far we haven't had those kind of sites available to us. But it's a public awareness issue, which is why I put in the 4th bullet as one of the threats to our forests. And it's like communication. It's the rural communities telling the rural what they're doing, why it's important, how well they're managing our forests and our environment in general. And so you asked the question, and I talked about this before, we talked about our forest management practices, and that's the question, will our forests really be managed well? Yeah, they are. There's a lot of recognition outside of Ontario of how well our forests are being managed. There's a couple of organizations here that have identified that in their documentation. You look at our certification here in Canada, and it is unbelievable how much land that we have certified compared to the rest of the world. You know, through essentially the three main certification bodies, the CSA, SFI, and FSC. So the world thinks we do a pretty good job here in Ontario. And what the challenge is to get folks to understand that in the urban centers. And it's a slow process. And I just had a couple examples of opportunities to do it. And you know, to get down into that sector, the population, and try to change minds. This is just a quick story. The Toronto Christmas Market, Forest Ontario has been there now for 5 years. And we donate the great big tree that's there. You see it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Great big lot. This year was a Norway spruce, 54 feet tall. It was absolutely gorgeous. And we also sell Christmas trees in our booth there. The very first year we were there, we ordered 100 trees. We got a really good price from Somerville Nursery. They're beautiful trees. We sold 50. And we had to give away 50. And we had an incredible amount of pushback from people that were there talking about you should not be selling real trees. Oh my God, you know, how environmentally unsound is that? And we were able to continue to invite media. This year, we were doing it again, and we had 4 TV stations there when the tree was being brought in. We had countless interviews. We put up press releases. This year we had 400 trees all sold. And I don't think there was one person that stopped by our booth giving a negative comment about using real trees. But 6 years it took of just that constant messaging out there. You might think that's a small example, but it just, in my mind, is an example of just continual information to give to the public about the sustainability of that particular industry, which is using real trees. We had another situation, you guys might be familiar with this one, the sign that was around Algonquin Park. There's about 5 of these, and it was actually the fellow that was he was a biologist in the park, and he started an organization called Algonquin Eco Watch, and he had some issues with some of the things that were going on in the park, and he decided to put up these signs. And you know, it's interesting, the forestry sector has done an absolute pitiful job of telling the public what they do, ever since I can, just forever. But they are very reactive when something comes up. They will shoot letters in and everything. Anyway, true to form, these signs went up, and there was probably a dozen letters or so that were sent into the minister and the MPPs and all this kind of stuff, trying to, say how wrong that is. But the signs stayed. Nothing really happened, and that reactive process just didn't really get a whole lot of traction at all, as it never really does. So what was really cool is these signs. The fellow, Mike Wilton, who was the proponent of these things, who was the former ED of Algonquin Eco Watch, he decided just to can Algonquin Eco Watch. He'd had enough. He retired some 25 years earlier from M&R, and he just really wanted to retire. Word got out that these signs were going to become available. First thought, chainsaw. Get them down. Second thought, sober second thought was, maybe we should put up some better signage. Maybe we should put up some proactive messaging about what we do. And so the Ottawa Valley folks got together, they contacted us, Forest Ontario, and said, can we work as a collaboration to come up with some really good messaging about forestry in more or less central Ontario? So we did that. We started this back in the fall, and we're just about to release a website that's directed and provides general information about forestry in central Ontario, different silvicultural systems, the forest management plan, the forest management practices and processes, but just information, real information. And we're going to put up what we think are more proactive signs. Now, the challenge was this. We had about 20 forestry folks from around Algonquin Park, in Algonquin Park, forestry people, all commenting about what the signage should be for these things. some guy saying, oh, we should have a skidder up there with a guy with a chainsaw ripping and tearing around the trees, and that's what we should show the public. And there's some other people out there, no, we gotta just show all the wildlife and all that about the public. So what we concluded was foresters don't know how to communicate. And we needed to get some help to do it. So we actually had a company in Toronto, that was a website design and marketing firm, that heard all we had to say, and they said, look, you're trying to talk to a public that doesn't really care about the skidder and the chainsaw guy. And the reality is they don't. What they want to know is that their forests are being taken care of, that they're going to have recreational opportunities continue to stay there. So we're going to show you a slide. This isn't out yet. We're going to be releasing these May 1. Is it okay, Steph, if I do this?
Oh, it's the other stuff.
Yeah, so it's kind of, we haven't let any of this out yet. So we're going to show you the sign now. Keep in mind, you guys, all of you, see what you think. So that's the sign. Well, what are the signs? Well, we've got 4 of these that are going on around the park, all different. We've got the website that's going to be on this, that people can go to get more information. I'm not going to show you all 4 because there's just no time, but it's this kind of thing, proactive messaging that we have to get out there. So we're going to push this out. We're going to continue to follow through the year and just start the process. Start telling people what we're doing. The other aspect that we have to think about, so there's the general public, there's the cottagers and all those folks about getting this, but then there's the education and our kids. And I was telling you earlier, the population movement of the younger generation coming into our urban centers, further getting disconnected from our natural environment. Kids these days, not to generalize too much, but they're on their iPads, their iPhones, or whatever it is, and their computers and all that, and they really aren't getting out and enjoying outdoors, nature. The helicopter parents that are out there, I see it all the time. It's just, when do you get kids to just go for a day and play out in the forest? Not too often. So we have to start developing opportunities for kids to find out more about the environment. And certainly Richard Loeb, I don't know if, has anybody heard about Richard Loeb before? Yeah, a few folks, yeah. He coined the phrase nature deficit disorder, and essentially identified, this was 5 or 6 years ago, that within a couple of generations, if we don't create the opportunities for our kids to get connected to nature, they're going to be disconnected to our outdoors. And if they become disconnected, you have to ask, okay, who's going to take care of our natural environment? If they're just not interested. So, we have to create those opportunities to do that. So we have, Forest Ontario has a number of educational programs for kids, right from senior kindergarten, right up to postgraduate work. These are just some of them. That we get the kids out, that we show them about the environment, that we get out and talk about forestry. We've got one, Forestry Connects, where we actually take kids from the city, and for 2 years now, we've taken them up to Algonquin Park and into the logging operations. We said, the tree marking. Here's how tree marking works. Here's how you pick trees. Then the fellow forwarder comes in, harvests the tree, they follow it out to the mill, Crazy Mill for the last couple of years. It goes through the processes, and out the other end comes wood products. And they're just in shock when they see this. They have no idea that this is the processes. And we actually, if you wanted to check out a YouTube video, we did a YouTube video about Forestry Connects. And if you get a chance to see it, you'll see the enthusiasm of these kids, and they'll get a better understanding and appreciation of what's going on in Algonquin Park. Most of them had no idea, first of all, they were going on in Algonquin Park, and now they can get a really good grasp of how sustainably done it is. So it really is down to the point, and you're the perfect audience to talk to about this, because we are starting this awareness campaign. We have to get folks like yourselves that understand about the environment, that understand, you're in a biosphere, so you're a sustainably managed type of system there, that you work with Westwind, and you get an appreciation of how things are done on that rural landscape. You have to tell your friends, in the city here. You have to reach out. You have to talk to your kids. You have to try to tell your kids' teachers they should start looking at programs like some of the ones we listed. There's a lot of them, so those are just a few. But the word has to get out to folks, because if we cannot convince the public in general of how important our forests are, the politicians are only going to follow suit to what those folks are telling them. They're just saying, what's the latest thing blowing in the wind right now? If they start hearing that it's really important to make sure we've got the resources to take care of our environment, both urban and rural, so that they stop taking away budget from the environmental ministries like MNRF and MOECC, and we might be able to get ahead of this. But if we don't do that, we're just going to lose the game. So biggest threat, awareness. People have to become more aware of what we can do to ensure that we have those sustainably managed forests for our future. It's going to address climate change. It's going to address all those other things we talked about. We'll make sure that, you know, we do it because of the environment and because of our future. And if we don't do it now, you don't really need to do it for your generation. Think about the next generation. Thanks very much.